So, hello everyone again and welcome to my channel. Quite fascinating because this channel which talks about science and how science relates to our daily lives, which is pretty much fascinating and something we can see and something that we can actually catch a curiosity and actually think of what will actually be happening when you get predictable outcomes. However, not that happens when you get into the quantum realm, something about the subatomic level where various interesting interactions happens over there and how those interactions yield various unpredictable outcomes. And speaking of unpredictability, that is how this movie is going to come about, which is Doctor Strange, and Doctor Strange which focuses on a very interesting, rich and also arrogant, I must say, doctor who is actually a surgeon. However, he experiences an interesting transformation that makes him to actually dive into the idea of magic. And speaking of magic, we know that magic doesn't work really well with that of science, and science will try as much as possible to explain things in the real world. However, magic just gives us a very brief summary of what you expect and something that we can just accept without any form of explanations. And how would they be able to capture and combine both magic and science together for we to be able to buy what this movie is bringing towards us? Now, one interesting concept is the idea of going into the quantum level where we get unpredictable outcomes. And one of the interesting concepts in quantum physics or quantum chemistry is the idea of predictability, which is what will I do when I'm moving from one point to the other? Will I be able to predict where the person is going versus how fast the person is going? That brings up some interesting questions where we actually look at the Heisenberg principle, where he talked about the more you know about something, the less you know about the other property of the other particle or the same particle. Let's take for example, if I get a speed going here to here really fast, then I should know the position as well, because if I can know the speed, I know the time, I will get the distance, and then I will know where the person is. However, that doesn't happen in the quantum realm, because the more I know about the position of a particle, probably an electron, less I know about the speed of that electron. However, the reverse happens when I'm trying to know the velocity. The more I know the speed, or the more I know about the momentum of a particle, the less I know about the position of that same particle. Now, these two properties and other possible property relationships actually comes together in the quantum realm, where we then begin to look at the probabilities of what you're going to get in return. And that is what this movie is going to dive at, where you're seeing diverse alternate realities, where you're seeing buildings intertwining, and then you're getting unpredictable outcomes, unpredictable shapes, unpredictable dimensions of our universe currently. It's going to be beautiful how this movie is going to dive into that. Another interesting one that really caught my eyes while watching the trailers is the idea of moving from one point to the other without any form of airplane or any faster means. Also, it's just the idea of teleportation. And teleportation is one of the most interesting things, where we look at various science concepts, looking about wormholes, and from wormholes you get into multiverses, and from multiverses you get into alternate realities, and what you get in your particular reality, you know what you get when you get to your other multiverse or your alternate self, when you might actually become an evil person over there, whereas in this particular real world you're actually a good person. One of the most interesting things that actually caught my mind is the idea of quantum tunneling, which is diving into the quantum realm, where you see two particles. Pretty much you have an isotope of a particular particle, like for example hydrogen, and its isotope deuterium, right? They both have different masses, however, they still have that same property, which is the same number of protons. However, you have different numbers of neutrons. I just say it as, for example, you have yourself, which is your positive self. However, you have your evil self at some point. However, one might actually go in favor of the other in terms of, if you're involved in various chemical reaction or in various processes, you need energy for you to get to that activation energy in order for you to get to your final product. However, I will see this movie as trying to use magic as the energy in such a way that if you put in that energy becomes a source of the reality that you're going to see in the real world, and that is what is going where you're going from the activation energy. However, some particles, some people, I might say, might actually take another alternate source or another alternate means by going through the barrier instead of going over the barrier. And going through the barrier is kind of cheating, but hey, that is the power of quantum. And beautifully enough, the movie might actually dive into that, making us to put energy into the system, energy being the photons, the right energy, the specific quantum photon required for you to kick out a particular product or an electron or your reality, which is what you want to get in return. So it's beautiful how this is going to happen and how this movie is going to be able to introduce also various instruments, like for example you're seeing various light beams. Light beams means that you're creating energy, which is using photons to create that huge amount of energy. And it's going to be beautiful how they'll be able to manipulate things here and there and make us see the reasons why possibly magic can actually work with science if you let it to be, which is another form of a reality which is meant for you to actually think about. All the same, guys, those are my thoughts on what this movie is going to probably dive into in terms of the quantum realms and how these various interesting quantum behaviors of subatomic particles like protons, neutrons, electrons, muons, taus, or for example bosons or mesons, how all these particles interact with each other and how we'll see that probably in the real world. All the same, guys, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like button, share and subscribe, and let me hear your thoughts about this. Are you excited for Doctor Strange? You should be. All the same, guys, have a good day. Peace, love you all, and see ya on the next video. Bye.